The Fight of Life. Art Edward. Yelling and screaming echoes between the streets and tall buildings. My boxing instincts tell me this is a fight. I move to the corner, stand beside the cold red bricks and look around. Inside a tennis court bordered with a black wire fence, 4 teenage boys pull shirts and throw wild fists. One lands his fist on a jaw and makes a thud. A small boy, younger than the other 3, cries at a distance as a kid with brown 80s rock band hair punches a tall red-headed boy in the mouth. The sock echoes around the buildings. The redhead boy lurches back, his lip dripping blood. Another kid, built like he's lived off 16 years of beef patties, comes at the boy with the rock band hair and swings a fist. Rock band ducks and returns with square knuckles to beef patty's gut. ARRGG, beef patty groans and hunches. Then redhead thumps rock band in the kidneys while his back is turned. Beef patty and redhead grab rock band and punch into him like they're butchers pounding meat, then throw him down into the black tennis court fence, sinking their boots into his body. Redhead wipes blood from his lip, then spits on him. Mind your business next time, fat breath. Fat breath. What kind of an insult is that? I must be getting old, out of the loop with young talk. The 2 teenage thugs head off, lighting cigarettes. Rock band crawls to his feet. That shows some heart, not staying down. Then he takes some reading glasses by the fence and hands them to the small boy. Here you go, he says. The boy, dried tears staining his cheeks, grabs them and scoots off. Not very thankful to that wild-haired kid who just took a beating to rescue his glasses. I guess he's just a boy, and boys still need to grow into men. Rock band scans his fists, runs his fingers over his knuckles. Sore, no doubt. I want to meet this brave young lad. He reminds me of myself 40 years ago. The blue scarf my dear Lucy made for me is wrapped around my neck, and I prod it a little higher, keeping the winter wind at bay. Then I move into the tennis court. Nice thing you did for that boy, young man, I tell him. He looks up. Immediately, a look of concern reflects in his eyes. You an old retired cop or something? No, I'm no cop, retired or current. He turns his chin up like he doesn't believe me. Why you wearing that blue suit? The only black men with silver hair wearing suits that I've seen are cops or detectives. Or Nelson Mandela, you look a bit like him. The kid has an eye for detail, though I'm a little disappointed he didn't mention Lucy's scarf. I'm pleased with the Mr. Mandela comparison, but where have you seen cops and detectives? The boy shrugs. TV. Movies. Movies. Young ones can't get enough of them. Truth is, I'm fond of them myself. The good ones, anyway. I like the movies too, I say. Still, I'm no cop or detective. But I've dealt with my share of thugs. But I haven't found many people who put themselves in the line of fire to help someone in a tough situation. Rock band surveys me, a young but lost spark in his eyes. It appears he doesn't receive many compliments or encouragements. Well, I got to get going, he says. Not so fast. Do your parents like you fighting? I say. I was in a foster home. Now I live with 2 mates, he says and offers a shrug. They won't care. The boy's bloodied lip fosters memories of my upbringing. Dad left, and Mom drank because Dad left. I had to work harder and longer than most kids to get half as much. All I wanted was a fair go, my share, to live life and find love. I wish someone took the time to point me in the right direction. I guess it's my opportunity to do that now. My name's Art Edward. We shake hands. Joey Kip. Joey. I repeat his name to show my respect and give a final firm grip of his hand, then let go. You have any plans tomorrow evening? Joey looks around the narrow streets and blocks of units and buildings. I'll find stuff to do. Dry, withered leaves blow past my feet, and I look at the back of my hands, sun-scarred and wrinkled, withering like the leaves. Time moves fast, we can't just do stuff. I remember when I just did stuff. Squandered my time away. Guess I was too young to know any better. It's a waste of life. This lad, he's got to know he must do more than just stuff. I consider the young man's wild brown hair. Too soon it will be gray like mine, although I like to think of mine as more of the silver the lad mentioned earlier. Stuff, I say. There's more to life than stuff. How about you come by my gym every evening after school, 27 Coleman Street? You got a good punch, and I teach boxing. Joey screws his lip, punches into his fist like he is imagining beating on those teenage bullies. Could be useful, he says, but I can take care of thugs. Well, I wouldn't be training you to fight people. It would be more for the discipline. I don't need discipline. Discipline is a great quality to master, I say with a deep gaze, trying to instill the importance of discipline. You need discipline to succeed in almost any endeavor. Joey looks around jittering, fingers tapping his torn pants like he has to get going in a hurry, like he has someplace important to be, but somehow I have my doubts. He turns to me. How much you charge? Spit buckets and mops. I'm not cleaning your mess, Joey says and turns and walks away. If you don't clean my mess, I say, raising my voice, you may be cleaning your mess for a long time. Joey's pace slows thinking about that, and then he stops and turns around. He glances at his watch. I may turn up, but I don't commit. I do what flies by me at the time. What flies by at the time? Usually not much. He needs direction. Goals. I sigh and shake my head, glance at the brown leaves flying by my feet, blowing toward a dirty gutter, no doubt. Don't do that, I tell him. Don't do what flies by. Joey squints his eyes from the sun creeping between the buildings. Worked for me so far. And where's it got you? I ask. Joey's silent as he stares at me. I've got him thinking. If you take whatever happens, whatever comes your way in life, most likely you won't end up with much. Rarely something good, I mean really good, ever just flies by our way. We must decide what flies our way. Decide what we want. Go after it. Then we get good in our lives. So decide now if you want to come work for me while I train you. He pauses in thought for a moment. Perhaps the first step in taking charge of his life. Are you any good? Joey asks. I motion my arm around the empty tennis court, surrounded by buildings. I'm the best you have. I don't know. The young lad needs help deciding what he wants, in taking control of his life. I know just the thing. How does your gut feel? I ask. Joey grabs his stomach. Sore. I don't mean from the punches, I say. I mean, how does your gut instinct feel about accepting my offer? Joey grabs his elbow, perhaps confused. I don't understand. What's your first thought toward working at the gym and me training you? Be fun to learn to box, Joey says. But after school cleaning up, sounds like it would suck grapes. Strange term. My eyebrows shoot up. Not sure what you mean by sucking grapes. But if you want fun, you've got to work. Joey gazes around, contemplating. What time would it be? Start 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. The wind blows Joey's tousled hair across his eyes, but his eyes reveal a little spark now. Okay, I'll scrub stuff, he says. As long as you teach me to punch, to fight. I scrutinize Joey's bedraggled hair and sloppy and dirty clothes, and sitting a little out of place, new blue running shoes, shoes that take him no direction in particular. This young man doesn't need to learn to fight in the ring, but needs to learn how to fight the fight of life. I tell him, I'll teach you how to fight. Earn the break. The bow tingles my fingers as I glide it across the strings of my violin. My violin is tucked into my chin, and I sway with the movement of the music. Ah, music, it really frees your mind for creativity. The clock hands on the wall edge past 5:30. Joey's not showing, or late, same thing in my books, unless there is an exceptional reason. I hold my violin out, admire the flex through the grain of the timbre, then slip the finely crafted instrument into its case. I lock the latches and turn to leave my office when a tap-tap knocks on the door. Could it be Joey? The door jars open. Susanna pokes her head in. No, not the young lad. Susanna's blonde hair sways into her glasses, and she drops her clipboard, scattering papers over the floor. I smile, she's so clumsy. But clumsy doesn't matter, as long as you're doing the right things, which she most always is. I help gather the papers. She smiles and thanks me. "There's a young gentleman here to see you," she says. So he's a young man who lacks punctuality. I stand and lean against my desk. "Let him in." Joey hikes in and looks far from a young gentleman, holding a crunched fast food bag with his pants dirty, shirt sloppy, another new pair of red sports shoes with an undone shoelace dragging a stuck wet leaf across my floor. He glances at my bookshelf like it is something stupid. "Lot of books," he says. Need to test his resolve. Make him stronger. "You're late," I say. Deal's off. I take my violin case off the desk and knock my red Model 69 charger. I stop it from falling off the table, then head toward the door. Joey drops the fast food bag and blocks me. It's good he's showing a little heart in stopping me, but the bag. I glance at the paper bag, and Joey looks back at it as well, then picks it up and throws it in the bin by the corner. I head out the door. Joey chases me and takes my arm. "I'm here, aren't I?" I stop and look at Joey gripping my arm. He drops it. Agreement was 5 o'clock. "Teacher kept me back," he says. That is doubtful, most likely a lie. "That's a shame," I say, and get moving across my gym toward the exit, past the 2 young men practicing in the ring. "Old man," Joey yells, and I turn and face him. "You don't know what you're talking about." Joey waves an angry hand at me and walks away as if to leave the building, but he heads for the toilet. He doesn't know where he's going in life or the gym. Joey stops underneath the little plastic toilet man, shakes his head, and comes back. He goes to grab my arm again, and then stops himself and points to the ring. "I could beat either of those dudes. Pick one and I'll fight him. If I win, you train me." The 2 young men hear his challenge and stop fighting in an instant. They lean against the ropes and look over eagerly like dogs wanting to jump on a meaty bone. It's commendable Joey has the nerve to fight them with no training. He would most likely cop a beating. But still, he needs more life courage. Anyone can stand in a ring and get pounded in the face. That's easy, but taking on life's challenges requires real courage. He needs a touch more testing. "No deal," I say and continue toward the front door. Joey runs in front of me and walks backwards as I close in on the exit. "You scared?" he says. "Scared you're too old to train anymore?" I stop and look at Joey, then slap his face. "Crazy old man," he says. I slap him again, whack. "Why aren't you dodging?" I ask him. "You couldn't fight a gloved sloth, let alone one of those boys." I point to the bucket beside the ring. And the deal was for spit buckets and mops. "My life's hard," Joey says with more pain expressed in his eyes from his hard life than from my slaps. "I need to learn to fight more than," he glances at the spit buckets, "clean people's spit. Don't fight people, fight for your dreams." I point sternly to the front door. "Then get out on the streets and fight someone." I go to move, and Joey grabs my arm. We both look at my arm, and he drops it again. He's learning. Good. "Okay," he says. "I'll clean." He bites his lip and looks at the big clock on the far wall. I shouldn't have been late. Truth is, I don't go to school. I work at a chicken factory. After work I came here and stood at the front door, then I changed my mind, okay. I started on home, but then something nagged me to turn back for the gym. And I'm here now. Give me a break. "That was your gut instinct nagging you here," I tell him. "But there's a hard lesson you need to learn. Life gives no breaks, you earn them. You gave me a break yesterday when you offered to train me." "No. You earned it," I say, and Joey looks at me confused. "When you defended that small boy, that inspired me, made me think, there's a young man with character, a sense of justice and honor, although it was wild and untrained. Still, it was your action that moved me to make the offer. You earned it." "Then let me earn it again," he says. "I'll do extra, stay longer." Extra and longer. Going the extra mile. He really is learning. I glance at my watch like I have somewhere to be. Truth is, I don't. Since I lost dear Lucy, this place is more my home now. Heck, I'm only pretending to walk out to get the fire burning in this young man's belly. Stay and clean this place until 11, I tell him. I'll come back and drive you home. Joey's arms flash as wide as his mouth. That's over 5 hours. And you do that for the next month. If I like what I see, like how the place looks, impressed by your attitude, then you win back the deal, agreed. I stick out my hand. Joey looks at the fighters in the ring. They mockingly hawk and spit into the tin bucket, showing Joey how he will be cleaning their mess. Then they laugh to each other and punch gloves. First time those two have been friendly toward one another in a long time. Joey breathes heavily, holding back anger. It's gonna take some humility to accept this. But with humility, eventually comes wisdom. Joey finally forces himself to face me, and he grasps my hand. I nod slowly and think to myself, kid, you just survived round 1. Punch the bag again. Night after night Joey mopes as he mops, his bottom lip hanging like he went 8 rounds with the world heavyweight champion. He drags the buckets like he drags his feet, his shoulders drooped, and clothes and hair messier than Susanna's notes. Still, despite obvious lack of order and discipline, Joey perseveres. And I always respect someone with doggedness. They draw the respect from me. There's nothing I can do about it. And perseverance is old Mr. Obstacle's worst nightmare. Joey's begun to fight. Joey lasts the month, even jogging home. He said his place is a few blocks from here, and the quick run does him good. It's time for me to stick to my end of the deal. It's Friday night, and I take him to the punching bag and hand him the gloves. He snatches them like he was starving, and they were the last burger at Freddy's deep-fried burgers. He's got hunger. Good. Someone who's hungry can fight through anything. I grab the punching bag, racing my chest and knees. Lay it on me. Joey grimaces, then throws his weight into the punch. Not bad for a skinny kid whose hair looks like it weighs more than his body. He punches, but not in raw anger, in hurt. It shows in his eyes. His pain of a rugged and love-lacking life is revealed in each pounding punch. A few rounds of punching has a tear welling in his eye, and he turns aside. This is stupid, he says. Waste of time. I don't want this. I lean out from behind the bag and let it sway. What do you want? Joey, with his back turned, wipes his eye, then faces me. Something to fight for. I'll never be a pro fighter. I just want a life. A life like others have. You know, a decent job, your own place, someone there. What we've been doing can't help me with that. A month, and all I've done is lug around buckets and mops and punch one lousy bag. You've done much more than that, I say. Joey stares out the window, toward the streetlights. No, I haven't. You've begun to learn discipline. Behaving, doing what I'm told is not going to help me. More than just that kind of discipline, I say. Discipline to see your tasks through, discipline to stick to your agreements, your word, good routines. A man's word is his character, and routines make your life. They're not making my life nothing, Joey says and wipes his nose on his black sleeve, leaving a glistening streak. Ignore that. That's bad English, I tell him. No, bad English is a band. Did they inspire your hair? He rakes his hand through the mess. What's wrong with it? I move back to the bag. Punch the bag again. What for? I poke my head out from behind the bag. Discipline. Joey huffs, then turns and punches. The bag makes a scoosh sound, pulsing into my chest. Try using your legs more, I say. Not just reckless and throwing yourself. Technique. Power comes from the ground up. Move your legs as you punch. Legs must pivot and rotate. I don't get it, Joey says. You will, I assure him. Next are your hips. They hold your torso and legs together and move your whole body. I tap my stomach, 63 and still firm. Your stomach muscles, your core, connect your body as it moves in one powerful force. Feel it. Joey punches. I can't. Takes practice, I say. But once you master it, master your core and your force working together, you will release your maximum power. The principle works in other areas of life too, but it's not yet time for that discussion. Joey punches away, trying to feel it. So this is discipline. Doing the same thing. I hold the rumbling bag. Part of it. Joey keeps punching, moving side to side. Why does discipline matter? Joey says, then suddenly gets one punch perfect and the bag thumps into my chest. That's why, I tell him, letting him know with a glance and nod that he punched hard. It gets results. I stand back for a moment and take a breath. And discipline is needed in life. Everything worth achieving takes repeated concentrated effort. And repeated concentrated effort takes discipline, and so to achieve in life we need discipline. We need to discipline ourselves to do the hard things we don't want to do, again and again, so we can achieve the things we want: healthy minds, strong bodies, good relationships, meaningful work, being in a strong position so we're able to give more to others. Joey stares blankly for a moment, not grasping it. But when do I really learn how to box? When you have learned discipline. Joey's eyes turn to a calm resolve, staring at the bag, and he keeps punching and keeps chattering like a child with endless questions. But I don't mind that. He's learning. What's there to achieve anyway, he asks. A good life is only for the fortunate. He must believe everything I have is a result of random good fortune. There's plenty to achieve, I say, but we must decide on it. And a good life is for those who choose it, make it, and live it. Joey punches hard and pushes the bag into my chest. I take a breather as he looks at me, tears sitting in the shadows of his eyes. Choosing a life is possible, he says. But not for me. Why's that? I say. Joey looks out the window, glaring into the dark. Some have got more. That's their lot in life. They have families and money, or some kind of opportunity where they have a chance to choose. Their world's like a vast ocean. Joey faces me again. All I have is puddles. I look at him intently. Then swim in the puddles. Joey huffs, punches the bag with half a heart and half the power. Can't swim in a puddle. It's a metaphor. Metaphor would be me lying flat face in the mud, scraping my arms through the water, and kicking into the ground. I smile and laugh, quite a funny image. But Joey doesn't see the humor, so I quickly move on. Your circumstances may be meager. You haven't been blessed with the vast ocean of riches and opportunities to dive into as others have, but not everyone has. And it's not such a bad thing. The extra struggle forces you to swim harder and to grow stronger muscles. Joey shakes his head. No hope for ones like me. Best we can do is survive, have a few friends. Having a few friends is essential, I say. But you can have more. Those puddles I'm talking about. You're a puddle, Joey says, interrupting. My brain's cooked. Going home. See you Monday. Joey grabs his bag, then heads for the door. Hey, Joey. I call, and he turns at the exit door, bag strapped over his shoulder. Just think about it. Let it simmer in the back of your mind until you're ready. He creases his brow. Think about what? I make a swimming motion. Swimming in puddles. The heart and the steel. 2 years roll by, and Joey keeps working at the chicken factory and afterward at the gym. He now takes care of the books and maintenance. He's good with his hands at fixing things, not just punching the bag. He gets his driver's license and goes to wild parties with his flatmates, and gets into trouble and stupid fights. Who he spends his free time with is who he will become. He needs to see there's more to life than just wasting it. He can become more. It's hard to make a change. A change can sometimes start with something fun though, and I have the perfect idea. I take Joey into my old storage room at the back of my gym. The cobwebbed curtain squeaks as I swish it open and let in some natural light, the light revealing swirls of dust drifting and dancing in pirouettes. I slide my old surfboard from the top shelf, wipe away the layers of grime, and hand the board to Joey. Lucy loved watching me ride this. Joey looks the board over. Lucy ride too? No, she was afraid of deep water, I say. But still, she'd come to the beach with me, watch me a little, read a book on the sand. I develop a smile over the thought of her. Maybe she didn't love watching me ride so much. It was probably more she loved me being happy. A good friend, my Lucy. Joey takes the board and flips it over. Don't think my friends would hang with me while I did something I love. Why don't you take the board and try it out? I say, giving it a tap. It will keep you fit, improve your balance. Thanks, Joey says. I'll use it on the weekends. And use it he does. Every weekend he's out there, in the early mornings tumbling surf, and then back in the storage room by afternoon, where he tells me he's working on something. Probably something trifling, but at least it's constructive. It's a start, and it's better than getting drunk. Joey keeps coming to the gym, and we keep working. Every move in the ring I teach him. He practices again and again, and no matter how heavy his shoulders, I demand he keep his gloves up. That's an important lesson. Life can come at us with great weight and pressure. We must keep our gloves up, so to speak, when faced with life's challenges, keep our heads, shoulders, and spirits up to fight on. Soon enough, Joey decides he wants to fight in the ring. And he does all right. He won't be world champion, but he likes it, likes the fitness side, the techniques, and even comes to appreciate the discipline, but his heart is not completely in boxing. You know when someone's heart is not captivated. There's no playtime. No heart. You can practice as much as you like, but practice is rigid. To master something, you need to spend your playtime at the art or craft, where you break the rules you have learned and create your own rules, your way and your style, and you love doing it. That's how the greats become the greats. With boxing, there's none of that with Joey. We're at the supermarket, and Joey is helping me with my groceries. He didn't really want to come, but I told him it's part of his training, although I'm not entirely sure it is. We stack the conveyor belt with oranges, lettuce, capsicum. Joey isn't watching what he's doing though. He's caught in another world, as a big whoosh of brown hair flicks back as the checkout girl starts bleeping the items through. I nudge Joey and nod toward her. He shakes his head at me and goes back to placing the groceries on the belt. Hi, the girl says to me. Hello, Camilla, I say, glancing at her name tag. Camilla looks at Joey and smiles. Hey. Joey drops the glass sauce bottle, and it explodes on the floor like a can of red paint. Joey turns almost as red. The sauce is cleaned up, but not Joey's pride, and we head on our way. And I decide it's time for the next phase of Joey's training. Breaking circles. I carry my violin bow and take Joey for an early night off from the gym. He asks, "What's the bow for?" And I say with a sly grin, "We'll get to it later." We walk the blocks, gazing at the building lights glowing in the night. I wonder about the people inside the rooms. Are their lives sorted? Do they know where they're going and why? Joey and I turn into the park and walk the narrow stone trail until emerging ahead are a parade of lights shining on a big white circle. The outdoor ice skating rink. We lean against the rails surrounding the rink. Moms and dads skate by holding their little ones by the hand, and young couples are whisking about each other, expressing young love through their skates. Others are wobbling, shaking and falling and sliding along their backsides as they travel around the big white circle of ice. I point toward them. Tell me, where are all these skaters going? Joey shrugs. In circles. It's much the same with life, I say. Many of us go round and round in circles, going nowhere. Some aren't very good at it either. A wobbling skater falls and slides along the ice. Others are quite skilled. They at least give an appearance of purpose. Two young men race by, their blades cut the ice as they chase each other. But they're all on the same path of circles, until the lights go out and it's over. Until what's over? I send a glance to Joey. Life. Joey watches the skaters zipping around the ice. I hope he's thinking his life needs a purpose. I face him. Do you want to skate around in circles for the rest of your life? Of course not, he says. But I just can't break away from the crowd. I mean, everyone is moving around, and at least moving is better than standing still. Sometimes you're better off to stop for a while and check your destination. Joey turns and faces me, gaining interest. Are you hinting I should consider where I'm going, leave what I'm doing, and head in a new direction? That's hard. It's safer to stick with what I know and stay circling on the ice. Having a purposeful direction, that's for the lucky few. Joey returns to watching the skaters, perhaps giving himself doubts. Maybe I'm better off simply moving round. I feel for Joey because it's hard to break a rut. But we must if we want to be our happiest. He needs a little motivation. A good motivator, I say, a method that can show us where we are in life and if we want to stay there, is the 10-year rule. Sounds like one of your crazy mind inventions again, Joey says. Is everything you teach proven fact? I laugh. Some of it perhaps. But mainly it's the best I know, and you can improve on it. Most things get improved in time. Think of movies, they're better now than the ones in the first few years of production. Same with cars, technology, just about everything. So for now, I'm the best you have, and what I teach will be the best I know. But perhaps you can improve on it yourself, tailor it to suit you better. In the end, you must make your own decisions and choices and learn to trust yourself. I may be a tutor, a teacher, a guide, but you must become your master. Understand what is true for you, your convictions. I really want to implant this point, so I lean forward on the rail and say intently, unless you decide for yourself and make your decisions based on your convictions, you will be a leaf getting tossed by everyone else's wind. Joey leans into the rails with me, nods, watches the skaters. Being a directionless leaf sounds miserable. So what's the 10-year rule? I decided you're not ready for that. But you just asked, Joey says with a bit of aggravation that I find amusing. I want you to fully understand that you must make your decisions and become yourself. Based upon first learning, then acting on your best choices. I hand the violin bow to Joey. I don't play violin, Joey says. Mozart did. Mozart and Shakespeare. Joey gazes at the bow. I've heard of Mozart. Imagine if Mozart only ever played or composed the exact same music he already heard. There'd be no eine kleine Nachtmusik. Joey lowers the bow. And eine kein Nacha what? I raise my eyebrows. A symphony, number 40. Joey stares at me like he was stung by a bee that contained paralyzing venom. You said you'd heard of Mozart, I say. Heard of him, Joey says, exasperated. Not heard him. There's a difference. Try listening to classical music. It works different aspects of the brain and modulates genes that are responsible for brain functions. Really? Yeah, they're discovering more all the time. Sorry, I got sidetracked, not really my point. You got my Mozart point right. Yeah, I got. I'll give another example, I say. Imagine if Shakespeare only wrote what he had read and never wrote his own pieces. There'd be no. I pause and ponder Joey's blank stare. You better have heard of Romeo and Juliet or Hamlet. Of course. Well, it proves the point, I say. Shakespeare would have never written a masterpiece, and the world and himself would have missed out. You must learn, then create your path, your life, with your decisions. Another example. Imagine if movie producers and directors only made the exact same few movies over and over again. No one would watch them, Joey says. That's right. So we learn, then make our own unique path. Joey nods. Learn, then burn. I laugh. I like that. Learn, then burn. Now, Joey says, looking at me like he really desires to learn something. The 10-year rule. 10-year rule. A skater shoots by near the rail, slides and sprays us with a cool sprinkle of ice. Probably thinks he's smart, but he's not that smart if that is all he knows. I look at Joey. Okay, the 10-year rule. Imagine your life right now. Can you do that for me? Joey breathes, looks down and gently kicks the rail, then regards the skaters again. Well, I work at the chicken factory and work for you at the gym. Help clean, do bookkeeping, maintenance, throw my fists in a few fights, which makes me some extra money, keeps me going. You train me in boxing, which keeps me fit and active. I don't get depressed when I'm working out. It makes me happy. That's all good, I say. Now imagine you're doing the exact same thing, but you're 10 years older. Joey closes his eyes and drops his head again, breathes heavy and looks up. Will you still be happy? I ask. Joey shakes his head. No. Not progressing, going nowhere. Chickens flashing past my face every day on the hook line. Living in the same flat. Going to the same drunken parties. I'd be depressed. Makes me depressed thinking about it. See how the 10-year rule is a good motivator. It puts something negative behind us to push us along. An undesirable or bad outcome that will become reality if we don't take action. I call it negative push motivation. Sometimes we need that kind of motivation to drive us forward. And that depressing life you imagined, that's what will happen to you unless you stop moving in circles. I see that now, Joey says, gazing at the vast spread of stars for a second. But it's still too hard for me to change. What other kinds of motivations are there that you know of? You said that's only one kind. Well, there's what I call positive pull motivations, I say. They're forward motivations, things in front of us to strive for that pull us forward. I point at the fast skaters. Say one of those boys wanted to speed skate in the Olympics. Would that motivate them to practice harder, to stick to a special diet? For sure, Joey says. They'd be heading for that goal. It would move them to give all they had to reach it, to race in the Olympics, to win. Joey readjusts himself against the rails. So you're saying they could think of something negative behind them if they don't act, such as regret of not trying, not achieving anything, maybe the scary thought of only working in the supermarket their entire lives. Unless they really liked working there because it's low stress, then I guess they're living their dream, which is fine. But if not, they could keep that negative push motivation behind them to push them along. I nod. Then they add a positive motivation, Joey continues. Positive pull to pull them forward. That goal of racing in the Olympics, the memories to look back on, the pride, the moment of being there, the thrill and fulfillment of being your best, the stories you could tell your children and grandchildren and inspire them. I rub Joey's shoulder. You're really getting it, I tell him. Negative push motivation to push you forward. Positive pull motivation to pull you forward. But there can be one problem with those two kinds of motivations. Really? What happens once his Olympic dream is over? Maybe he makes some money and buys a nice home. Then what? What happens to his motivation? I guess he has nothing more to prove, Joey says. Nothing to drive him to action, so his motivation could run dry. That happens to many, I say. So it's best to add a third kind of motivation. I grip my jacket and tap my fist against my chest. The one that comes from in here. Joey looks at my chest, my heart. Internal motivation, he says. That's the one, I say. If we can motivate ourselves from the inside, make our actions become who we are, our motivations will never run dry. Internal motivation. How does that work exactly? Say you wanted to get married, but you were overweight and wanted to lose a few pounds to look good for your wedding photos. You have the negative push motivation, looking a little chubby in your photos, and the positive pull motivation, looking healthy and fit in your pictures. So you work out hard and achieve your goal and on your wedding day look fantastic. Then what happens? Joey smiles and puffs out his stomach. I guess sometimes we stop working out and put the weight back on. That's what we do, because the two motivations have disappeared. But if we add internal motivation, one that sets a standard of who we are, a standard that we are a fit person for the rest of our lives, that it's as one with our being, then we will work out for the rest of our lives and hold to our own standard of who we see ourselves to be. Joey looks at me intently, thinking. So we keep ourselves the way we see ourselves. Sure do, I say. We keep to our standard of who we perceive ourselves to be. Raise your standard of how you perceive yourself, and you will act to that standard. Say you have a bad temper. If you tell yourself, I'm an angry person, that's who I am. I can't change. Then you identify yourself as being someone who can't control his temper, and you accept it and stay that way. So how do I control my temper? Joey asks. Not that I have much of one, well, maybe sometimes. I'm trying to grasp the principle. Become aware. Don't identify yourself as being bad-tempered, I say. Don't set that as your standard of who you are. Change that standard. First, be aware when you become angry and realize it's not really who you are at that point, it's simply a reaction to a circumstance. It's most likely happening automatically because you have set yourself that way. So be aware you're reacting with anger. Understand it's a reaction and not you. Then choose to control it and feel differently. Set that standard that you're someone who, when things make you angry, you become aware of the emotion, take a needed action, and you stop feeling angry and change it. You're someone who is aware of his emotions and controls them. Joey looks at the bow. That sounds like it would take practice. All things do, I say. But try it next time. It works with other emotions, panic, stress, depression. Try it. I'm sure you'll like the results you can achieve. Depression is a difficult one, Joey says. I get that sometimes mildly. I remember how depressed and overwhelmed I became in my 20s. Not knowing where I was going, seemingly no future, not having any friends, that could have been the worst part. Feeling constantly isolated can send you spiraling down. It was a difficult time and took years to control it. But I overcame it. Not perfectly, but now I don't allow myself to stay in that negative state for long periods. It's a big subject, I say. Maybe we could discuss it in depth another time. But for now, remember, you won't feel it unless you think it. The healthier you have your mind, the better you will cope with depression. Sometimes we can put ourselves in that bad state. We lie around, fail to move. If we move slow. We think negative thoughts all day, and do and try nothing, and eat bad food that poisons our systems even more. The happiest person on earth would soon become majorly depressed living like that. Moving and exercising floods your system with endorphins. So does positive talking and positive thinking. If you block negative thoughts and speech for a week, anyone's dispositions would improve. When we work toward goals and strive for something and give to people, we automatically feel better. It can be our life, our lifestyle that causes depression. Definitely adds to it anyway. Think and live positively, and it will be much harder to be depressed. But you can't wait for the bad feeling to go away. You have to start first. Yeah, okay, Joey says. So you're saying we can set our standards of who we are with emotions and habits and actions? Yes, I tell him. Just about all things. It's not perfect, but it's the best we can do. Leonardo da Vinci and Mona Lisa. When Leonardo da Vinci sat before his white Lombardy poplar panel with his paintbrush and paints, what do you think he was looking at and thinking about it and working toward? I ask. Joey looks confused. What's a Lombardy popular panel? That's not what I said. It's the board he painted on, but never mind that. What do you think he was focused on? Miss Mona Lisa sitting in front of him. Yes. Well, no. It's thought to be a portrait of Lisa Gherardini, the wife of Francesco del Giocondo. Oh. But you get the picture. And the painting. I wink. Point is, Leonardo wasn't sitting there on his little wooden stool, gazing into a stinking cesspool swamp, meditating on the swamp and working toward painting the swamp. He was gazing at, meditating on, and working toward the Mona Lisa. Joey nods, quite possibly understanding the point, but I'll ask a question to ensure he does. If Leonardo put all that energy into the cesspool swamp, what do you think he likely would have painted? A stinking swamp, Joey says, with stench smoke ascending and rotten trees and dead animals decaying in the sludge. My eyes go big, he got it. Right, I say. Nice expansion on my point too. It can be the same with depression, our emotions, our life. If our energy goes into the cesspool swamp, we'll get the cesspool swamp. If all our energy floods into the Mona Lisa, we'll get the Mona Lisa. Joey smiles. We'll all be geniuses remembered for centuries. Maybe, I say, swaying my hand side to side showing that almost no endeavor is guaranteed. Maybe not. But we'll produce the best we can, and we'll be the happiest we can. So if depression attacks you, remember, you can't paint the Mona Lisa, throwing all your energy into a cesspool swamp. Got it, Joey says. Going back to internal motivation, I say. I'll give you another example. You got exams in school and you want high grades, the best score you can get. You have the negative push motivation of failing and never qualifying for future schools or qualifications or lines of work you would like. And you also have the positive pull motivation of getting the best grade you can and getting into that next school or line of work. But if you hate reading, and the job you get after all that doesn't require it, what happens to your reading? My reading schedule would vanish, Joey says, and I give him an eyebrows-raised glance, implying a little reading will do him good. I lower my eyebrows and continue. But if you have a standard that you are a reader and a learner, and commit to half an hour every day of reading something that makes you learn or grow, or just helps you feel better, then that's the standard you set for yourself. That's who you perceive yourself to be, and you will stick to that for the rest of your life. The way you see yourself is who you will become. See yourself as timid and can't act, and you will be timid and afraid to act. See yourself as shy, and you will be afraid to reach out to people. See yourself as a man of great action, and you will take great action. See yourself as a loving person, and you will perform acts of love. So use internal motivation. Set yourself the standard of who you are, how you see yourself, and you will strive to make yourself that way. I hope that point clicks with Joey. It's so important to set our standards of who we want to be. It's amazing that if we don't think we are such a person, we won't act that way. But if we think we are such a person, we will. You said shy, Joey says. I am a bit shy. No, you're not, I say and rub his shoulder. Shy is not who you are, it's how you feel and react in a circumstance. So to overcome shyness, Joey says, I should not identify myself as shy, but understand it is a feeling and a reaction. I give a nod. Next time you feel shyness gripping you, separate yourself from it, become aware that's how you're feeling and reacting, then control it, stand straight and breathe deep, move past it and talk to the person you're shy to talk to. Just say one small compliment. Does a whole lot of good for both parties. Set yourself a standard that you're a person who reaches out to others, and that's who you will become. Joey watches the ice skaters, taking a moment to think about it. I'll try that, he says. But it will be hard for me. It's why I first backed out of going to your gym. Not only could I not decide, but when I did decide and approached the front door, my body flushed with anxiety and I walked away again. I guess it was only that negative push motivation I had that pushed me into the gym. The not wanting to stay in my current situation, the fights and heading for life on the streets. I really see how the motivations work now. I nudged Joey. I'm glad you had that negative push to get you through my door. Another help so you can talk to others in a positive, encouraging way is to make sure you love yourself. Isn't that a little arrogant? No, not if you're balanced and love yourself in a humble way, I say with a chuckle. Only if you love yourself and have something good inside to give, can you give to others. If you have internal love, you can give love. It's a bit hard for me to love me. I've never done anything special. Sure you have, I say. You're just not recognizing it and commending yourself. So I'm great, well, not bad at throwing a punch. I wave that comment off. No, you're much more than boxing. Just realize and commend yourself whenever you do or think something that is genuinely good. You can just do it in the morning if you wish. When you wake up, think of 2 or 3 qualities or actions you took recently and commend yourself for them. Tell yourself you love how you did that. I don't quite get what you're saying, Joey says with a creased brow. Like, you mean I say, I love how I throw a good punch. Build your core. I laugh. You've got a thing with your punches. Think deeper than that, think core values. So you might say to yourself, Joey-o, and start by saying your name, so you reinforce your talking to yourself. Say, Joey, I love how you cared for that small kid when those thugs took his glasses. You stood up for him. I love that. I love how you scrub the floor at the gym. Even though you hate doing it, you still do it because you know you have agreed to a job and you stick to your word. I love that. I love how you listen to this old guy standing beside you. Not everyone would, but you do, and I love that quality you have. Joey smiles and pats my back. I do love listening to you. And I like the sound of that idea. I'll do it first thing in the morning. I'll think of 3 things that I love about myself and say it. Say it and feel it and mean it. Then you will have less fear and plenty to give when you talk to others. Okay, Joey says. I'll build myself up from the inside first. And also in the future, if I want my actions to last, I'll use the 3 motivations. They will keep driving you forward, I say. Joey watches the skaters going round in circles, contemplating. I want to move forward, Joey says. I want to be motivated. I just don't know where to go. When I look at life, all I see is a circle of ice. There is no place I can see where I want to go. Joey faces me. How do I know where to go? World parts when you march. The first step is to decide you want to go somewhere, and not stay in the same circle. You've just done that. Well done. Second step is to look past the rink. It's dark, so can you see beyond it? Joey looks into the dark trees. No. I tap the rail. How could a skater see beyond these rails, to see where the trail is, to see where he wants to go from where he is? He couldn't, Joey says. He'd have to bust out the gate and get moving. I see your point. I've got to get moving. To decide on something. Once I get out of the rink, I will see more clearly where I want to go. I'll have a better understanding and vision of what I want. I lean forward and watch the skaters going around and around. I sigh and think of the precious lives that have withered away due to lack of decisive action for a definite purpose. You can't have a life without decision, I say. Your life will fade away if you can't decide what to do with it. What you said about getting moving. That's a great principle. Swift decision and decisive action, even if you don't choose the best option, even if you choose wrong, it still gets you moving, gets you in motion. And when you have motion and movement, things happen. Life happens. Life gets better. History is full of men and women who made their mark through swift, decisive decision. Someone who cannot decide, who cannot control themselves, who cannot lead themselves, must be led by others. Others decide their life for them, and that's a sad way to live. Joey turns from the skaters and leans back against the rail and looks out toward the trees in the dark. I understand what you're saying, but sometimes things get in your way, circumstances beyond your control. Don't submit to circumstance, make circumstance submit to you. And it will when you get moving and cut off alternatives. Press forward, Joey says. The world parts for those who march. Joey smiles. Nice. You must be certain, I say. If you're wavering, you will be easily turned aside by the slightest hiccup. Once you choose your course and forget any opposing ideas, you will be a mighty force. A force you never knew you possessed. Joey looks to his feet. I don't think I have force. Not life decision force. The ring is my limit. I gently prod his chin up. Raise your standard. We can all have that force to be decisive with our lives. You can see it in a person's stature when they're decisive. They stand tall, strong, calm, they exude power. That power makes their goals happen. Alexander the Great was asked how he conquered the world. He's quoted as replying, by not wavering. Napoleon Bonaparte was the same. He was quoted as saying, above all, it must be done with speed. Speed in decision, Joey says. That's all right for those guys, but I'm just an average person. I can't conquer the world. Don't conquer the world, give to the world. Only use that principle. It doesn't matter who you are, quick decisions have advantages. It saves time and energy, and you accomplish much more than an undecided person. If you spend a lot of time calculating, you will see pros and cons on both sides, may become undecided, definitely uncertain, then you will decide to do what someone else tells you to do. They decide for you. They decide your life. What if it's really difficult? Joey says. A hard decision. Should you wait for that? No, I say. Get necessary facts, then act. Someone who wavers, falters, and hesitates when things are difficult rarely, if ever, succeeds. It is always the cool head in a crisis who acts swiftly, who comes to the aid of others, who is the one depended on, who is the one who makes the best of the situation. They are the one who succeeds. I think I'm a perfectionist, Joey says. That's why I think for ages on a matter. What if I want perfection? Perfection is the worst standard because it is impossible, I say. A standard of perfection means you will end up with nothing, because you will never find perfection. Joey nods, appearing to have understood that one straight away. A lot of people come to me with a lot of ideas, Joey says, things they want me to join. I don't know, what should I do? Joey sighs and looks stressed. How I used to look when I couldn't decide for myself, when I did what others told me to do with my life. I was pushed this way, pulled that. It never worked. Never will. Find your purpose and stick to it, I say. And remember the power of number. The power of number. Joey looks at me and raises his eyebrows. The power of no. It sounds harsh, but it is not, I say. Once you have your purpose you are striving for, you will need the power of number. The ability to say no to others' wishes for you that come your way, like you just mentioned. But you must say no and stick to your purpose. Be resolute and strong. Don't give in to a fool's complaining and whining, how he wants you to live his life for him. You can't do that. The best way to help someone like that is to set an example with your life and show him the path to a good life. Then he can imitate your principles. But, Joey says, with a little confusion on his face, shouldn't we help people? It's great to be a giver and help people, I say. That's essential for life and happiness. But you must live your life and know how to say no when it will damage your life. Help when you can, but you can't destroy your life. When you say no, thank them for their offer, maybe give a kind reason why you can't do what they want, then continue on with your own tasks. Balance is required. I'm always talking about balance. Give me an example of balance toward helping people, Joey says. One simple way to judge if you should render the help to someone is decide if it's a need or a want, I say. If it's a silly want, they can take care of that themselves. But if it's a need essential, and they need help to do it, then it's a very fine thing to lend a hand, and will bring you both joy. Or maybe it is a good activity you have time for, that you both will enjoy and enrich each other's lives. Sounds a little difficult to judge, Joey says. You will get to understand people. If they are always coming to you, wanting you to do everything for them, if they are users, or if they are good friends and genuinely need help for something important, or for something enriching and fun. Have balance there. But don't mess with selfish people who want to use you for all they can. Don't live the life others want you to live. My mates always want me to go to their drunk parties. All the time. They hound me and put me down when I don't go. That's when you need that balance, that understanding of whether they have your best interests in mind. Don't have misplaced loyalties. You're loyal to God, your family, yourself, your integrity, and to your good friends. You can't give that loyalty to the pack who only want to use you up. It doesn't belong to them. That loyalty belongs to the top down. Remember that. Loyalty belongs to the top down, Joey says. Got it. A good friend will not use you up and will want you to live your life. So live your life. And that will fill you with the most joy and empower you to help the most people. Joey turns toward the ice again, grips the rail, leans back and puffs heavy into the night air. I know this sounds right, Art. I just need to put it off for a while, to get my head straight. Putting things off stifles your character, strangles it, and can ruin your life, I say. Great things could have been accomplished by using the hours spent dwindling in bed, contemplating. Get up and go for it. Joey starts laughing. Gee whiz, you never give an inch, do you? I laugh with Joey. Life goes fast, and I don't want you to see yours flash by and regret your choices or lack of them. I want you to be happy and make a life of your own. Joey nods. Okay. I'll make a start. I'll at least drum it into my head every day that I must decide my life, and fast. How's that sound? Sounds good, I say, and rub his shoulder again. Sounds like movement. Remember to do what you said you were going to do. Stick to your word. Many people know and understand so much, but lack the power of swift, strong-minded decision and suffer for it. Learn the power of swift, decisive, strong-willed, strong-minded, unrelenting, and unyielding decision. Act fast. It can be hard to stick to your word, to stick to your decision. But you must. It's integrity. Reveal your steel. Don't dunk donuts. Joey reflects on our conversation over the next few weeks, but it doesn't all sink in. We'll need to have further discussions. Still, he decides he's sick of going in circles and wants more, but he doesn't know what that more is. He doesn't know how to find what he's after, what decision to make. He does decide he doesn't want to be at the chicken factory 10 years from now. He asks me for extra hours, which I grant because he's a good worker. Then he quits the chickens. Says he can earn enough to survive with what I pay him. I like that decision. Life is not about making money, it's more about becoming your best self and living a happy life. Still, he applies for different jobs, tries to build an internet site, tries selling one of his surfboard designs but gets rejected. He gets frustrated, but I'm impressed. He keeps chipping away, sticks to it. Joey even decides to leave his flatmates and live by himself. He found a smaller unit, but still pays twice as much rent as what he'd pay if he lived with the other two. He thought better to pay more and live on his own than to save a few lousy bucks and live amongst people who didn't want him to progress in life. It's supermarket time again, and Joey's more eager to accompany me this time, for a reason that most likely involves a pretty young girl. The trolley's packed and we come to the checkouts. Joey's examining the aisles, trying to be secretive about his true intent. He spots the girl he fancies and pulls the trolley to aisle 5. Even though aisle 5 already has a mom with 3 little kids and a trolley bursting with packets and parcels. I tap Joey and point to aisle 7. That one's empty. Joey shrugs. We're here now. I smile to myself as we wait behind the mom. I remember my days like these a long time ago, but it goes so fast. When I first saw Lucy, I was walking in a hurry as usual and passed a store with a big glass window. I glanced upon a girl with curly black hair and our eyes met. My heart stopped, then I stopped. She was cutting hair, and I thought I could do with a haircut. I crept in, and the little bell chimed and fluttered, and would have sounded somewhat like my heart if it could have made a musical note. I was hoping that young lady with the black curls would cut my hair. But she didn't. A bearded man called Frank did. He cut fine, but needless to say, I didn't really care about the haircut. So I devised a plan. The young girl was chatting and laughing. I was listening, not prying. It was more like detective work. Soon enough another young lady called to her, "Lucy," and she spun round and her curly hair bounced and her big smile lighted the room. A big smile lighted in my heart. I had her name. Mission accomplished. 3 weeks later, I called the hairdressers, said I need an appointment, and I usually have Lucy cut my hair. Genius. Every 3 weeks my hair was cut. It hardly grew, but our relationship did. I lean into Joey's ear. Don't want everyone to hear these words amongst us men. There's no point us being in this aisle if you're not going to talk to her. Joey snaps around. What are you on about? I nod toward the girl with the brown hair tied in a red scrunchie. Don't drop the sauce this time. Last time it had butter on it. Butter was on your fingers, I say, smiling with cheek. Try starting small talk. The aisle moves along, and Joey begins jittering, bottom lip quivering. I feel his butterflies in my stomach. So I'll say what, he asks. I place 2 loaves on the conveyor belt. They move forward. Something nice, I tell him. Just use your instinct. Joey looks at Camilla. She smiles and he smiles and looks down and grabs cans of garlic-flavored tuna and nervously smacks them on the belt, sending them rolling. He looks up at Camilla. I like my tuna. Camilla laughs, and Joey begins to breathe again. Joey had a small conversation. The next week he went back the same time and acquired Camilla's number. Joey hasn't had time to continue our discussions now, so I let it sit a while. Joey continues working at the gym and doesn't hang out with his over-partying friends anymore. He traded them for Camilla. Camilla and Joey have fun together, but they're going in circles and have no purpose direction. I guess that's fine while you're giggling into each other's faces and rubbing noses, one of the strange ways couples get acquainted. Joey's learned discipline, which will take him a long way. But eventually he has to be going somewhere, or that discipline will only keep Camilla and him perfectly upright and skating around that ice rink. I'm not certain Joey is ready for the next phase of his training, the next phase of his life. I guess none of us really are ready to face an uncharted path. You can never be truly ready until you are there, standing in the heat of the stage spotlight. But it's time for Joey to find his path, to choose his purpose, to take that new direction. It's time for Joey to grip the wheel and drive his life. Time for him to take control of his story. This story.
Joey Kip. Art asks me to leave the gym early with him, says he's got an important lesson to teach me this evening. He's always got an important lesson. We stride blocks for 10 minutes, cross the street and enter a brightly lit building with red and green chairs, then climb stairs to the rooftop restaurant. Open-fired pizzas throw their rich scent around, trying to lasso me. I admit the ropes wrap around me and drag my stomach in. Art hands me the menu. You decide. I glance down reading, then my eyes light up. How special? Why's that? Art asks. It has everything. I love pizza with the works. The pizza arrives. Steam pours from the top and the cheese melts in thick strings as we break off a slice. Art gazes down from the rooftop at the cars traveling below, then he asks, "Where are all those cars headed?" The headlights shine upon the stack of chrome bumpers, the brake lights flash, horns honk, and I stuff my face with cheesy pizza. How should I know? Take a guess. Can't he give me a moment? I chew and swallow. The movies. Some probably, Art says. Where else? The gym. Hopefully ours. Art laughs. Any other places? Work, I say. To see family. I don't know, the donut shop, what's your point? Point is, they're all heading somewhere, and for a reason. I guess, I say, and go back to my pizza. Tell me. Art points to a white sedan. That white car, the driver inside, if he's driving to the donut shop. Where do you think he's going to wind up? I savor the rich flavor of everything that's been hurled on top of this pizza. The donut shop. What about the driver in that blue van? Art says, pointing at the car. If he's driving to his mother's place, where will he end up? I look at Art, who is distracting my eating. Your questions are really stupid and easy. Art goes to bite into his slice, but he pauses and lowers the pizza. Then they should be no problem to answer. I roll my eyes. He will end up at his mother's. Art leans across the table. He won't find himself at the police station. Why would he? He's going to his mother's, I say in the flattest, driest tone that would rival a week-old pizza crust. Exactly, Art says and then leans back and smiles. He's a little insane. I already know that, I say. Art's eyebrows shoot up. Really? I stay silent and take another bite of the pizza. He's got some point he's trying to trick me on. Screw it. I'm not wasting time trying to figure it out. What's your point? My first point is my questions are easy but not stupid. Second point, don't say I already know that. It closes your mind to learning and progress, and in reality we don't really know something unless we are living it, doing it. I agree with that. Okay. Third point, what made the driver go to his mother's? He probably wanted to go there. And then what? Art asks. Then he went. Right again. But let's say someone jumped in their car and just drove at the correct speed indicated before changing lanes, didn't cut anyone off. Drove past someone conked out on the side of the road and pulled over and helped start their car. Then they jumped back in their own car and got driving again, turned left, another left, made a few rights. Where would they end up when the car ran out of fuel? On the side of the road, I say. Nowhere. What's the difference between him and the one who went to his mother's? One knew where he was going, I say, and take a bit of pizza. I know what I'm eating at least. Compare the two, Art says. One drives toward his mother's 30 minutes away. The driver with no destination drives for 17 consecutive years as fast within the speed limit as he can, only stops for fuel, toilet breaks and food. Who would end up at their destination first? The one driving for 17 years, or the one who went to his mother's in 30 minutes? So he's saying if I know where I'm going, I will arrive faster. The driver who went to his mother's. And what led him to his mother's? What did he do first before he drove there? Did he just jump in the car, start driving, then accidentally fly by his mother's place and say, I'll go visit? No. He decided that's where he wanted to go. Art takes a big bite of pizza and looks satisfied. Satisfied with the flavor and satisfied with my answer. And I guess he's right. We do need to choose where we want to go. But it's too hard. I've tried. I even tried selling my surfboard design. They told me it was rubbish in 2 minutes flat and kicked me out. I've no idea how to find or pick a direction. Maybe I should stick with boxing. Maybe that's my thing. After all, I'm good at it and it makes me extra money. Perhaps I need to push myself, work harder and longer at it. But it doesn't seem to make me truly happy. Why is it, Art says, taking back my attention? When it comes to a little thing we call life. Life, the only thing we have. That people jump in their cars of life and don't decide where they want to go. I scratch my head. Too busy with pizza. Where do you think they end up? I feel my lips screw as I think. Where the traffic of life takes them. Which is? Round in circles. We must decide what we want in life, Art says. Not take what is handed to us. Not simply accept what comes along. Because what comes along won't be much, and it probably won't make us happy. Rarely will someone trip over a chest packed with treasure. They must learn about the treasure, get a map, and go dig for it. I've just been drifting, I say, doing nothing. But I got a little lucky because you offered help. I didn't seek that. True, Art says. But remember, it was your courageous action that moved me to offer the help. If you never took that stand for that boy, I would have strolled on by. And I've offered to train you, to give you some skills. Art points at me. But not decide your destination for you. You have to do that. How do I decide? I asked, resting down my pizza slice. I don't know what I want. I only know I like Camilla. Well, you chose Camilla. And you probably know what you want with the rest of your life more than you think. You're just not attuned to it. What do you mean? I say. Like you tune a radio to your life? Art's eyebrows raise and he nods. Not a bad analogy. But we'll come back to that. Art then straightens up, starts moving his hands as he speaks, waving his pizza slice. For now. I just want you to realize you must choose life. Your life. What you want from life. Don't drift, following the traffic, changing lanes, stopping at the lights, then one day run out of fuel and see you are beside a bowling alley and say, hey, I guess my future lies at the bowling alley. It wasn't what I was hoping for. In fact, I don't even like bowling. It hurts my fingers and strains my shoulders, but I'll bowl for the rest of my life and hate it for the rest of my life, and complain about it to everyone for the rest of my life. Why? Because I just drove somewhere, and ended up here, so it must be my destiny. Art slams his pizza slice back on the plate. Rubbish, he says, and I smile as a fleck of ham sprang from his slice and stuck to his cheek. Art wipes off the ham and glares, scaring me into wiping off my smile. So I must choose my life, I say. Art leans back and relaxes again. To obtain the life you want, you must choose the life you want. Then go there no matter the traffic. Traffic? Art points at the cars jostling for position. Sometimes what we want in life, where we want to be or go, may have heavy traffic. It may require work and hustle to get there. Doesn't mean it's not right for us. Like aisle 5, Camilla was working. It was full, and the other was empty, but you chose the congested aisle because it led to what you wanted. I nod. That's true. Once I knew what I wanted, talk to Camilla, what was around me didn't matter, obstacles, bustle, nothing. Some decide where they want to go, Art says, then decide the road is too far or the traffic is too thick, so they go wherever there is less traffic. They give up on their destination, don't believe they can make it, and simply take the easiest route to someplace. Art stares at me. A place they don't like. A place they find boring. Dunkin' the Donuts. Art rubs his chin and shakes his head in anger and frustration. Then he continues, they may drive to the donut shop because there's no traffic and the path is easy, but all the while they wanted to go to the gym and lose weight. They sit in the donut shop and order donuts, eat donuts and dunk donuts in their lukewarm coffee while they gaze longingly down the street to the lights of the gym, wishing they were there, working out, getting fit, getting in shape. Then they shovel another coffee-dunked donut past their sugar-sprinkled lips and complain they have to gobble down donuts the rest of their lives. When all that is required is to get off the donut shop seat, jump in their car and drive to the gym, no matter the traffic. Sounds stupid, I say. It's incredibly stupid to go somewhere you don't want to go, Art says, staring at me, forehead wrinkled and pushed together in frustration. I nod and agree. I'd nod even if I didn't agree, don't want to anger him further. Stupid to complain you're not where you want to be, I say. When all you had to do was decide what you want and then go there. Art opens his hands, then clasps them together. That is it, young man. I don't want to wind up at the donut shop when I desire the gym. I must choose. I must choose the gym. I take another cheesy pizza slice. I definitely want to decide what I want in life, I say, and help Camilla do what she wants, but I haven't a clue about what that is. No idea of what will make me happy other than Camilla. But we need direction. What's the answer to that? What's the answer to not knowing your destination? I say to Art, and he patiently listens as I rant. I remember we discussed stepping outside the ice rink so we can see more. Well, I stepped out, got out of my bubble, but I still only see trees in the dark. What if you're stuck in a donut shop and you hate it, and you gaze out the window to someplace else and you don't see a gym shining in the sun, calling to you? You see nothing but red buildings and green trees sprawled everywhere. That part is easier than you think, Art says. Well, what is it? Joey fighting Joey. Street lamps drift light through the gym's old windows, laying a soft hue on the black punching bag. The cheap silver ring in my fingers shines in the light, before I slip it in my pocket and sigh. I don't know. When my mind is thick and heavy and I don't know what to do, which way to turn, I train here at the gym alone. The old brick building comforts me. It's a little tattered but strong. It's got character. I punch the bag and it sways. I catch it, and see someone in the shadows by the other bag on the other side of the room. How did he get in here? I can't make out his eyes from this distance, but I know they're fixed on me. I turn away and punch again. The bag swings. I punch. I go at it hard. Jabs and punches. My feet dance in the shadows like Muhammad Ali. I'm so fast I know I'm not that fast. I glance at the man in the shadows again. He glances back. He's gonna punch my face in and tell me not to go through with my decision. This fight coming up, the biggest of my life. A title shot, you might say. People pat me on the back, shake my hand and say I deserve it. Maybe, I tell them. But I'm not so sure. The bag swings and squeaks upon its chain as I leave it and step into the ring. Light from another window lands on the mat like a spotlight. I feel that man watching me again, telling me I'm no good. I ignore him and start ducking, dodging, weaving, throwing punches. Elbows tight, fists high, power coming from my toes, thighs and hips, shadow boxing in the shadows. Suddenly a red plastic bucket clatters into the ring. I spin round. Art steps through the ropes and into the ring. You will have to be faster than that, my friend. Hey Art. We hug. My shoulders are stiff or something. I swing my fists, trying to loosen up. I'm just kidding, Joey, Art says, big grinned. You look great moving fast. He pats me on the back. You've got a big decision coming up, I can tell. He looks directly in my eyes. Biggest of your life. Are you ready? I nod, trying to fool myself. Not really. You'll do great, Art says. Just believe. The stronger your belief, the stronger your conviction. And your conviction will drive you to fulfill your goal. See it as reality, and it will be so. I believe Marcus Aurelius said that. Who? Never mind. It's hard to believe and see such as reality with that guy eyeballing me over there, you know what I'm saying. I look to the corner where the big wall mirror is, but I don't see him. Art has a chuckle. You and your imagination, Joey. I stop staring into the shadows and look at Art. To tell you the truth, I was thinking of not going through with it, you know, walking away. Art folds his arms, then rests a hand against his cheek, his face silhouetted by the window's light, his silver hair glowing over his dark skin. If you walk away from this, he says, you walk away from your life forever. I look away into the shadows again. It's too daunting, and maybe I don't deserve Camilla. I'm uncertain if I should ask her, or? Hey champ, Art calls and I look up. He throws a black glove at my face and I smack it away. What was? The bucket now comes flying toward my chin. I duck, and it smacks into the ropes behind me and falls to the floor with a loud clang. I look at Art and wait for any more flying objects. But instead he comes to me and holds out his palm in the moonlight. What does a hand mean? Suddenly he swings a slap at my face and I dodge back. Art goes to slap me again, and I step to the right. He swings again and I duck, again. Then I catch his swinging hand and we lock eyes. What are you doing, Art? Art releases my hand from his wrist and grabs my chin, stares at me intently. Teaching you, he says. Follow me. I want to show you something. It comes without thinking. I hug my shoulders, trying to warm myself as I stand on top of the gym's roof, the surrounding lights of the city providing an elegant vista but not any heat. What's so special you want to show me that's worth catching pneumonia for? I say. Art strolls to the roof's edge, drops a cooler bag by his feet, and stands beside the brick parapet. The cold will toughen you up, he says. Sometimes it's good to condition your mind to handle adversity. How you are in one thing is how you are in all things. He points beyond the city lights, toward the distant shoreline. You see that lighthouse? I stand beside Art, gaze at the lighthouse with its light glowing while it stands tall like a queen in a chess set. Yeah, I know the one, I tell him. Maybe they got a heater on in there. I'm sweating ice cubes out here. Art's eyes drift into a dream. That's where I married Lucy 46 years ago. Yeah, I know. I stare at the lighthouse, chill air freezing my face off. A 19-year-old stupid kid who flunked out of high school with a bright future working in a tennis shop, and I hated tennis. His eyes suddenly light like the lighthouse. Ah, but Lucy, she didn't care. She loved me. She knew we could make a life. I didn't believe it myself, but she did. Then so did I. You made it good, Art, I tell him. Real good. Both of you. If only we had a few more years together, Art says, then the light in his eyes dims, but the cancer doesn't care about love. Art turns and puts his hand on my shoulder, his hands warm thankfully. So you going to ask Camilla or not, he says. You already bought a ring. I don't know. I say, then scratch my head, but it doesn't do any good, offers no solution. I love Camilla, but I don't know how to make it work. Maybe it's not best for her. Maybe she should be with someone who can provide a secure life. Art looks at me, wisdom portrayed in his eyes. Sometimes a secure life is having someone who will stand by you no matter what. That comment strikes my heart and warms me, heats my body as if I were right beside the big light in the lighthouse as I imagine Art and Lucy together no matter what. True words, Art, I say. Still, I have no confidence. Art pauses and taps his lip. Remember, it's all in the pizza. Pizza won't help. Last week at the restaurant, Art says, how did you decide so fast which pizza you wanted? I shrugged. I saw the flavor and I knew. Yeah, Art says, but you didn't get out a calculator and add up figures or grab a notepad and write down pros and cons. How did you decide so fast? I just knew, I say, shrugging once again for added emphasis on the shrugging. Didn't even think. Our big goals and life purposes can be like that, Art says. It's something natural that suits our tastes and comes to us without thinking. They don't normally punch us square in the chin or shoot fireballs in our face. It's usually more of a whisper, a tickle. A faint feeling that starts somewhere unique within us. We feel it. If we stay aware of it, it starts to grow, to burn within our stomach, our gut, like a fire. It's our desire, what we truly want. It can be hard knowing what you truly want, I say. Sometimes you can't see it. It's like peering through muddy water. Art gazes forward like he's inspecting me. Your eyes are sharper than when we first met, he says. More aware. You're ready. Well, ready enough. I puff out a lungful of stressed air. The choice still appears muddy. Like muddy water in a puddle in the dirt. Art's eyes gather a spark. Remember, you can swim in puddles. I smile and chuckle. I remember that chat we almost had, about swimming in puddles. And if I remember, you got a little hot-tempered holding that bag. I grin and smirk. Glad to see your light-heartedness has kept growing, will do you good. But to our conversation, swimming in puddles. The conversation we were discussing like dignified gentlemen at the time. I nod, just to keep him happy. That we were. Our intuitions are like those small puddles, Art says. And like our instincts, they come natural to us, without trying. They may not first appear as anything big and vast, they may just appear like a puddle. Maybe even a little unclear and muddy. But if you have the humility to dip your knee in the water, the curiosity to dig into the mud around that puddle, you begin to see into the puddle and notice it's bigger than you first thought. Then if you have the courage to dive in and swim, you will see it is deep, Art says. Deep and vast. That puddle, that flash of intuition can contain your deepest dreams. And when you dive into it, the deeper you swim, the more it expands, the more your dreams open up to you. The more real they become. It can swallow you whole, immersing you in a whole new world. An underwater world teeming with life, exotic fish, coral of the brightest color, a life you never could have dreamed of. A life greater than you imagined possible. Just checking I have understood. So I say. The puddles are our intuitions. They are small, maybe even clouded. But once we explore our puddles, our intuitions, we find that they contain great possibilities. Art nods gracefully. Absolutely. I stand and stare for a moment, unsure if I believe it. Sounds too easy. You will believe in time, Art says. It takes time. But if you persist with it, the dreams will come. And you will see they are real, and you can have them. I scratch my chin. I need time to think on that one, to believe. Belief is what makes it possible, Art says. But for now, let's run with what you know. What does your intuition, your gut, say about Camilla? I look at Art. That she's the one. Art narrows his eyes. What does your head tell you? That I can't make it work. I have no decent paying job, no education, and only live in a tiny apartment. Your pay for my evening work here is great, much appreciated. And I'm grateful you let me rent your workshop out the back for next to nothing to support my hobby of crafting my own shabby surfboards. Without that, I'd go nuts. The boards distress me. Cool my mind. But all Camilla has is the supermarket, and to live a half-decent life together, we'd need the extra cash I make from my fights, and that can't last forever. And Camilla doesn't like me fighting. She doesn't say that, but I can tell. And if I quit punching, then what? Where's the money come from? I stare at Art a moment, then drop my shoulders. My head tells me and my head knows she's better off with someone else. Art looks down and scuffs his shoes along the rooftop, takes a deep breath and faces me. How do you know that Camilla doesn't like you fighting if she hasn't told you? I don't know, I say, and shrug once again, just my gut. And is it right? Is what right? I ask. Your gut. The lighthouse light moves across the ocean. I watch it and then turn to Art. Yeah. It's right. Exactly, Art says. Tell me, can you be yourself with Camilla? That's an interesting question. What do you mean? Do you have to change when you're around her? Art says. Be more serious, less fun, or force yourself to be more fun? Do you have to change who you naturally are to make her happy? I shake my head. No. I'm not much good at changing for anyone. That's one reason why I love her. She accepts me for who I am. Likes me for me, even though I'm ordinary. Although I'm working on loving myself. Me and Art share a smile, recalling our earlier conversation on me loving me. I feel I'm totally free with Camilla. That's good, Art says. Being something that you're not makes you miserable. It's good to have your natures in harmony. You mean that we like all the same stuff? No, Art says. Your nature of how you are as people. They don't have to be identical, but they should harmonize and accept one another and help each other grow. Not forcing the other to hold back or not accept who they are. If you're fun and energetic, and the other one's nature hates that and won't let them express themselves freely, it stifles the freedom and growth and full happiness of the other's nature. Oh, we're never like that, I say, feeling grateful. We encourage the other one to be happy and be themselves. Art nods. And be your best selves. I raise an eyebrow, indicating confusion over that statement. Art smiles, indicating he's about to explain. What I mean, Art says, is that you encourage one another to grow and become the best you can be. Such as, maybe one encourages the other to take more action and be more courageous. In turn, that one helps the other to learn more, to have more insight, to think more about their actions. One is helped to become smarter, the other is helped to show better manners. Happy and flourishing couples help each other grow. Help each other mature to their best. Camilla is always encouraging me to go for my dreams, I say. I just don't know what they are. Art laughs. You will if you keep at it. And it's great Camilla encourages you to be more. There's that old saying of liking someone exactly as they are, which is fine. But build on that. Encourage each other to become more. There's great happiness in helping each other grow. Much better than never changing, and always doing the exact same thing. We do help each other, I say. I want Camilla's life to be better also, for her to grow as well. Good to hear, Art says. And the growth process is a lot of fun. A grand tree is better than one remaining a few feet high. Art winks at me and leaves me to think about that expression, then digs into the cooler bag at his feet and pulls out a couple of beers. Now we're talking. I smile broadly and unscrew the lid and gulp the beer down. The beer is ice cold, like my feet. Art takes a sip, then continues to talk. Tell me, when I threw that glove at you before, what made you slap it away? I shrug, realizing I shrug a lot. Training instinct. What about when I threw the bucket? Same, I say, swaying my beer, spilling a drop out the top. Instinct and training. The slaps on your face. Art pauses and smiles. My attempted slaps, you're faster now. What made you dodge them? Yeah, it's all my instinct. Training and instinct, Art says. Your gut. And tell me, was it right? I take a sip and nod. You know it was right. When those objects were hurtling toward your face, you didn't need to sit down and calculate a plan for the right decision. Your gut and your instinct made the decision for you. And the better your training, the better your decision. So, Art gently taps my stomach with his beer. So trust your gut. I pull my ring from my pocket, it glimmers in the moonlight. I want you to have something, Art says, then digs his hand into his pocket, shuffles around like he has ants crawling in his trousers, then takes out a ring. What are you doing, Art? Not that there's anything wrong with the ring you bought, he says. But this was Lucy's ring, and I want you to have it, and I? Art fights back a tear. I know Lucy would want the same. The ring's band swirls in a gold circle with a shiny rock on top. I don't know. I know, Art says. You're taking it. Art sits it in my hand and closes my fingers. You're the closest thing I ever had to a son, you know that. I look into his dark, warm eyes. You're the closest thing I had to a father. I gaze at the shining ring in my hand, then back at Art. This is special. We'll treasure it. Art smiles and nods, the wrinkles appear again and crease his forehead. You must propose first. I sigh. My gut says to ask Camilla to marry me, but what about my head that has all these what-ifs? What ifs? Art says. You know, like, what if this happens or that? What if I can't get a normal job, a nicer place to live, and a nicer neighborhood to move into? What if we fight about money, lack of it, or anything? The pressure will create problems. What if we can't work through them and we're not happy? For starters, your money problems will be eased by spending less than what you earn, Art says, and gives a gentle kick to my new sneakers. You buy too much junk. It's a bad habit. I huff. Look at my new black sneakers that go with my other 2 pair of new sneakers. Habit thing may be true. Maybe I can save a bit of cash. How do you know what to spend your money on? Spend on what you need, Art says. And then on things you truly value, and that will enrich your life. And gifts that enrich the lives of others. Then save and invest the rest as wisely as you can. What do I invest in? That may be something for you to read about. I grunt and wave that off. But, Art says, more important than what you spend your money on or invest it in, is understanding what money means to you both. It means you can buy nice things, I say. Have fun with it. Maybe buy a gift for a mate. That's what it means to you. But money to Camilla may mean you save it for a secure future, to buy a house, to help the kids. I raise my hands over the having kids suggestion. Slow down. Just saying, Art says with a sly smile. But see how if you both have a different viewpoint on what money means, it would cause problems. Yeah, I could see us arguing about that, I say. I'd want to go out and have fun, and Camilla would want to stay home and save the money. It won't be a problem if you both get clear on what money means to each of you, Art says. So take a few minutes to sit together and write down how you would like to use your money, and more important, why you want to use it that way. Make sure both of you understand the other's viewpoint on the use of money. And then harmonize those viewpoints to enhance both of your lives and the direction you'd like it to follow. I nod. For sure. Sounds like a few minutes discussion could prevent a lifetime of arguing. Art laughs. It will. Now back to Camilla, I say. Even if we save a little money and understand each other on it, there are still many other problems that cause tension. And what if she leaves? What if I leave? Are the what-ifs, Art says, shaking his head slowly. They're unlimited. Your head running rampant again. But those issues are real. My head isn't just making them up. I know they're real issues, Art says. Your mind is throwing them at you like a crazed fighter throwing wild punches. I grip the beer bottle, frustrated. What do I do with my mind? Art turns and massages my scalp with his wiry fingers. Use it. I look at my hands. I've only ever been good with my hands. I clench my hand and look at my knuckles. My fists. Being skilled with your hands is crucial. It completes the process. In fact, can't be completed without it. Art turns slowly and heads back toward the roof door. What process? I call. Art opens the door and turns around. Decision making.